googolplex, or 10 to the Google, or this number. Let's move on. Look, I can't even write that down. I'll have to shrink all these zeros down to one plank length. Minecraftplex, Kilofaxel, Sliverioplex, Snake Rivalplex, googolplexatime, Slakeplex, Killian. It's actually a first number with a K in it, and of course, it is a whopping 3 novem non-gentillion and 3 digits long. Hence, almost 1 million digits long. And speaking of which, if you want this to have a million digits, just multiply it by a Google chime. I think that would do the job. Amount of possible illegal and absurd dishes in the Black Swan, which I went to. I'll tell you some information. It has 68 dishes, and you can have different ingredients, but there's more than 5. However, before we move on, I'll tell you the equation that we use to get this. So, for example, the 10 right here, this is actually how many dishes there are, and this is apparently how many toppings you can have, and this is the exponentiation. So, for example, if you want to denote this, then this would become, this would become 10 to the 4, which equals 10,000. However, if you wanted to denote this, you're going to have to do 2 to the power of 5, which I think equals 32, hence giving you a whopping 100 nonillion dishes that are actually possible with different amounts of toppings. And the equation I got for this was a very big one. Apparently, I said there is also absurd ones, but it turns out that if we're talking about edible ones, we would get about, let's say you were allowed up to 10, so you would denote that as a whopping 10 to the 1,000. Okay, let me just think. Okay, it was corrected. It's a whopping 10 to the 1,024 possible dishes. And if you allow 20 dishes, you could denote that as 10 to the 1,048,576. And yes, and that's a 1 with a whopping 1,025 zeros behind it, I think. And this would be a whopping 1 with over 1 million zeros behind it, which is a long list of zeros. And yes, this massive amount, which is 10 to the 3010, it includes just about all absurd possible pizza toppings, like even, and yes, drug dealers are bad, and yes, this will also have illegal drugs, also inedible toppings like poop, and also, it turns out that if you wanted to denote this, you can first denote 2 to the 50, you can remove the 10 from that, and figure out 2 to the 50, which apparently gives you this number. So yes, this is the amount of possible pizza dishes you could have with 50 toppings, as long as there's 10 kinds of pizzas. So yep, it's a lot. It's more than 10 to the power of 10. It's more than 10 to the 1.125 times 10 to the 15. And if you want to be more specific, it's this number. Yeah, it's a big number. Anyway, back to the actual numbers. Google Calculatorplex. If you're wondering what this is the estimated amount of possible calculations that the Google Calculator can make if done in different orders. Google Duplexagong, Million Duplex, Robloxplex, Tetralog, Minecraftplexion, all the amount of possible worlds. First Skewy's number. Big Bang collector, the amount of years it would take for a new Big Bang to happen. Googolplexion, or the largest number that we know of to many people. Parallel Universoplex. Second Skewy's number. Astillion, Lunillion, Fermillion, Multillion, Metillion, googolplexonite, philpoplex, philpoplexia, alisonillion, deca. And also, if you're wondering, in my notation, it would be this, because while this is using tetration, the 2 up arrows is used to describe how many 10 to the 10s there are. So, for example, if this became 100, that would be 2, 1,000, 3, and so forth. And I think this is Geigel. Mega! Falkman's number. Grahel, or G1, or 3 hexated to 3. And yes, this next number has almost a mega number of up arrows, and the number is Mosu's number, or otherwise known as Mosa. Its last 3 digits are 1, 5, and 6, if you want to know. And also, if you're wondering what this notation is, apparently it's called multi-neuro. Say it with me. Multi-neuro. Apparently, it turns out that if you have 10 multi-neuro 1, that means there is 10 up arrows. But if there's a 2 next behind them, after the multi-neuro, there would be 100 up arrows. And you can go like this, so forth. Grey and Gravel, or G2. Little Graham. Graham's number, G65. And also, if you're wondering what the last digits of Graham's number are, well, I got just the answer for you. The last one is 7, and it's said to be a prime number, but it is maybe not, because it's divisible by 3. We're not sure about G65, like Forceful, N2. Alison's number, Tree 3. SCG3. SCG Alison's number. Big. Mimi Menacalua Oompa. And I'm not going to include the tar functions, but if you're wondering, it would look something like this. I think this is on in tar. Loader's number. 1918th Busy Beaver. Boom. 1919th Busy Beaver. 1 million Xi function number. Google Busy Beaver. Rhino's number. Busy Beaverplex. Large number garden number. Oblivion defined using no less than a Kungly symbols. Utter Oblivion defined using no less than an Oblivion symbols. Finity / Aleph null. Omega Aleph 1. Omega 1. Epsilon naught. Epsilon naught. Or this number. Epsilon naught. Inaccessible cardinal. Absolute infinity.